Ubay Shabanda is standing by outside the Saudi embassy in Washington, D.C. Ubay, President Trump seems to be continuing to try to hedge his diplomatic bets here and straddle this difficult diplomatic line between appeasing both Turkey and Saudi Arabia.
Indeed, Jamie, it seems that President Trump has really turned up the heat, at least rhetorically, on Saudi Arabia, calling it the worst cover-up ever. And that while President Trump has said that he still continues to oppose ending the arms sales, he seems to be passing the buck along to Congress, and many in Congress have indicated that they want to put a hold on some of the major ticket items, major billion-dollar weapon sales to Saudi Arabia that are coming up that Congress has to approve. This could be a major potential turning point, and we're seeing some additional evidence coming out, and some the administration officials are really seem to be coming down very hard on the Saudis as new information and new evidence seems to be coming about. Let's hear what Secretary of State Pompeo had to say.
We have identified at least some of the individuals responsible, including those in the intelligence services, the royal court, the foreign ministry, and other Saudi ministries who we suspect to have been involved in Mr. Khashoggi's death. We are taking appropriate actions, which include revoking visas, entering visa lookouts, and other measures. We are also working with the Treasury Department to review the applicability of global Magnitsky sanctions to those individuals. These penalties will not be the last word on this matter from the United States. We will continue to explore additional measures to hold those responsible accountable.
Well, so there you have it, some of the first signals from the Trump administration, senior officials, that they're going to take some sort of action against the Saudis following the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. And here with me in Washington to tell us more about the Trump administration's position and what could potentially happen is Matt Brodsky, a senior advisor, a senior fellow with the Security Studies Group. So Matt, so we just heard President Trump, and we've seen what Secretary of State Pompeo had to say. Does this mean, is this going to be a turning point for Saudi-U.S. relations?
I think it has. It's going to be a significant point. Now, how far a pivot that is yet to be seen. I think most significant from this press conference, at least from what the president said, was that he would like to have Congress buy in, which means that he's going to want something from both sides of the political aisle to agree on a pathway forward. As you said, for many, that means a pullback of weapons sales to Yemen. I think what the administration is going to end up with, however, and that's just reading between the lines with what Secretary Pompeo said, is that we're going to find the focus more on the Magnitsky Act, more on applying pressure from a humanitarian perspective, and something that does not fundamentally alter the U.S. foreign policy, which of course depends on Saudi Arabia as a pillar in the pushback effort against Iran.
Do you think that President Trump is shifting his position on Saudi Arabia? He said that he doesn't want to lose the jobs from the arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Is this a new policy, perhaps, in the making? I
think when he goes out and says that it's the worst cover-up, or words to that effect, that he's ever seen, then the evidence is, there's no way around the fact that this is bad. We're now a few weeks on. And so I think he's definitely wedded to the idea of there being a punishment, but I think he is weighing it with the idea that his foreign policy is still based upon pushing back against Iran. And he's so far done that very well economically, but we're going to have to see more of that returning. He also needs Saudi Arabia when sanctions come back on Iran's energy sector in just a few weeks. Saudi Arabia is supposed to make up for the oil shortfall, which is supposed to benefit all world markets and energy markets.
What can we expect Congress to do? Can we expect even harsher punishment against the Saudis, as it seems President Trump is saying that, hey, it's not up to me, it's up to Congress?
If you punt it to Congress, unfortunately what you see is a lot of internal political dynamics, a lot of people trying to aim for their little 15 minutes on TV and to gain a little fame. There will be a lot of friction and a lot of fighting. It's like the previous Supreme Court hearing we had that we just went through before this affair really turned into something that is about making domestic political points as opposed to actually solving the foreign policy problem.
So you have it. It's indeed very interesting, and we'll continue to follow up with this issue and with the saga of the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, it seems that as new evidence is being presented, much of it through the investigations being conducted by Turkish authorities, that has really led to where we are today, and with Saudi Arabia finally admitting culpability on some level of the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. It seems that Washington is paying attention, and we can certainly expect potentially even more actions directed against Saudi Arabia as the saga and the killing of Jamal Khashoggi continues to unfold. Back to you, Jamie.
Mubashir Banda in Washington. Thank you very much.